Kevin Magnussen will be forced to miss the Azerbaijan Grand Prix after he was handed a one-race ban for reaching 12 penalty points in Monza. The Haas driver is the sport's first to reach the mandatory sanction since the penalty point system was introduced in 2014. The steward's document stated, in accordance with Article 4.2 of the FIA Formula One sporting regulations, as the driver of Car 20 has accrued 12 penalty points, the super license of the driver of Car 20 must be suspended for the next competition. Haas is yet to announce who will replace the Dane in Baku. Monza was abuzz following news that Andrea Kimi Antonelli will partner George Russell next season, with the 18-year-old confirmed to replace Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes. Antonelli will become F1's first Italian driver since Antonio Giovinazzi in 2021, with the move completing his Junior Series fast track, where he won titles in both German ADAC and Italian F4, Formula Regional Middle East and European. He skipped F3 to jump straight into F2 this year, where he's 6th with 2 wins. Mercedes, though, will be hoping for a more polished performance after the youngster put George Russell's car into the gravel at Parabolica just 5 minutes into his debut FP1. McLaren's Lando Norris has opened up on his nerves ahead of a Grand Prix, with the Brit admitting that he struggles to eat or drink on Sundays. 2024 is Norris's 5th year in F1, but he's also enduring a claws-out fight with his teammate Oscar Piastri for a shot at a maiden title. And while Norris admits jangling nerves make it tough for him to get the nutrition he needs ahead of lights out, the Brit says he isn't crushed by it. Because I struggled a lot with this when I started in Formula One, I feel like I learned pretty well how to handle it, he said. Lewis Hamilton says this year's Italian Grand Prix felt different, with the 7-time world champion set to join Ferrari from 2025. Hamilton shocked the world earlier this year when it was announced he would leave Mercedes at the end of the season to join Ferrari on a multi-year deal reckoned to be worth $400 million. But while Hamilton stated he's always had a warm welcome in Italy, with calls from fans over the years to join the Scuderia, the Brit says that he's super excited for the road ahead. I'm really looking forward to connecting with that community and being on the journey with them as we work towards taking the team forwards, he said. Zhou Guanyu says he's focused on staying in F1 by retaining his Sauber seat into next season, with a comeback after a year out in another series almost impossible. Zhou, F1's first ever Chinese race driver, has been with Sauber since his debut in 2022, first in Alfa Romeo branding until the squad's return this year to its Swiss heritage. But Zhou's teammate Valtteri Bottas is more likely to be retained, despite neither driver scoring points. And the 25-year-old says that it's up to him to deliver the performance that will secure his next contract. We're talking about it, and it's clear here there's a seat available, but obviously there are drivers fighting for it, and I'm one of them, Zhou said. McLaren's Oscar Piastri has praised axed Williams pilot Logan Sargeant, stating that the young American's potential was much greater than what was on show in F1. Sargeant was dropped from the British team ahead of the Italian Grand Prix, with the 23-year-old replaced by reserve Franco Colapinto. But his former Prema teammate Piastri, who beat Sargeant to the 2020 F3 title, says he didn't expect him to struggle in F1 as he did, despite the axing not being completely unexpected. In the junior categories, he was genuinely one of the quickest guys I went up against, so I think his potential is much greater than what some people see, Piastri said. It's rumored Sargeant will shift to IndyCar from 2025 and join his former Prema squad for its American Series debut. Mercedes technical director James Allison says the squad's new floor is delivering the expected downforce, but that it must nail several factors at each track to get the benefit. Mercedes has enjoyed a more competitive season following a technical breakthrough and new front wing that went on both cars in Canada, with 3 wins from 4 races ahead of the summer break. But the Silver Squad took a big step back from Zandvoort, where the conditions and setup made the car nervous. Monza, though, saw no real improvement on pace after the squad suffered with tyre graining.
Just the tiniest slip of the rear, caused by a gust, caused by whatever, and then the rear tyres will light up. The temperature of the surface of the rubber goes up dramatically just with one tiny little slip. As soon as that surface temperature is up, it doesn't recover for several corners.
Alpine executive advisor Flavio Briatore has slammed the team's efforts since rebranding in 2021, stating there was no management. Enstone has been a revolving door for staff across the last few seasons. With 4-time world champion Alain Prost one of 4 to leave in 2022, followed by a management cull last year, including Otmar Zafnauer and veteran sporting director Alain Permain. Engine boss Bruno Famin took over as Alpine's interim team leader last year before Oliver Oakes joined from High-Tech. But Briatore says the squad can't be managed from afar, with Enstone a big monster that requires daily presence. At one point, I believe they chose a few wrong managers, Briatore said. I think the list of the wrong managers was quite long. We have no list of the good ones. Abu Dhabi's post-season test could have more eyes on it than usual, with F1's power brokers considering adding on a sprint race for young drivers. Seat time in current machinery is heavily restricted, with just 3 days for pre-season testing, 1 post-season and 2 more for filming, forcing teams to run private tests for young drivers in 2-year-old cars. But while the postseason test is a crucial day for rookies ahead of their debuts, with teams having to run a car for a driver that has no more than 2 F1 starts, the sport's top brass are keen to boost experience. With the F1 Commission to meet later this month, when it will discuss the idea of a postseason sprint race for young drivers. It would certainly help their training, aimed at making them prepared for the next step, said F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali. Aston Martin was left red-faced on Thursday ahead of the Italian Grand Prix, when its safety car speared into the barrier at Parabolica during its usual pre-event high-speed laps. Veteran safety car driver Bernd Mailander was behind the wheel, with a passenger alongside, when he lost control of the Vantage F1 edition and plunged into the tire barriers. Mailander and his passenger were both okay, with the strange incident a rare occurrence in F1's 50-year safety car history. There was an on-track incident with the FIA safety car today at Monza, said the FIA statement. Aston Martin is investigating the cause, but can confirm both driver and passenger are fine. There is an additional safety car at the circuit, and it will not impact the weekend's event. The Australian Grand Prix organizers have been ordered to pay a music touring company almost $2 million after it cancelled a Robbie Williams concert along with the entire 2020 event. The Australian Grand Prix Corporation cancelled the 2020 Grand Prix on March 13th, 3 days before a state of emergency was declared in the state of Victoria, of which event host Melbourne is the capital. But concert promoter World Touring Melbourne argued Williams could have still played, with 8,000 fans attending a nearby outdoor music event on the night the Grand Prix was cancelled. The race organizers said it acknowledged the court's decision and was reviewing the judgment to determine next steps. Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.